welcome back to the Consecrated Life series. I'm Livia Petrich, the confidence coach and your hostess, and this is Katie Garner who gets to speak with us today. And our topic is choosing to become. Katie has an amazing story. I know little bits of it, and I adore her. I've seen her at many times at many different events and conferences, and we've had an opportunity to talk. And I've just always been very impressed with her and her faith and her courage and her desire to do what it is that God wants her to do, no matter how hard it gets. So I'm excited for you to learn from her today. So thank you, Katie, for being with us.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Awesome. Okay, so first, will you just tell us a little bit about you?
So I'm Katie Garner, and I'm an artist. And I haven't always painted, but I paint now. And it's been about 2 years since I started painting for a living. I guess it's not really for a living. Since I started really getting into painting again. I've always loved it, but I started majoring in art in college, never finished college. I got married and I started having babies, and they were my life, and they still are, but completely consumed my life for the first 10 or 12 years. And I have 5 children. And my youngest now is 5, and my oldest just turned 13.
Oh, same as mine. Like exactly. Yeah, 5 to 13, 5 kids.
That's fun. Awesome. So I just recently got back into painting.
Beautiful. And we'll hear more about that later, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else that you're passionate about? You know, you're passionate about painting. What other things are you passionate about?
Lots of things. I really love to read religious and self-help books, and I like to quilt, and I play the violin and the piano. Mostly, I'm best at the violin, but I play a whole bunch of other instruments too, but I'm really a violinist. Pretty much anything I can create, like with, I don't know, I like creating pretty much anything with my hands. So I'm really also passionate about pregnancy and birth and supporting women in those areas of their lives.
That's awesome. So have you done anything with that, with doula or midwife or anything like that?
Not yet, but it's on my list.
You're feeling it.
Yeah. I had 3 home births. 3 of my 5 were born at home. I think it's the most beautiful process, and that's why I paint a lot of pregnant women too. I think I paint a lot of things about motherhood and pregnancy and the beauty in that process.
I love it. That's gorgeous. Okay, so share with us the story of finding your purpose, finding out what it is God wanted you to do on this earth. Because you talked about just starting your art just a couple years ago because you were so consumed with motherhood. What was it that got you to be like, now I'm supposed to like share this with the world instead of just love it in my heart and not really do it?
I don't care.
We're all about being authentic here.
Child interrupting me. They promised that they would stay downstairs.
Okay, just take care of it. We're good. So this is important, guys. This happened on another interview as well, and you'll remember that. But it's amazing what happens when you're trying to do what's right. Have you noticed this? That when you're doing something super important,
I told you go away.
there's something there to distract you, right? But it's okay to be you, and it's okay to show up and do what you need to do, and it's okay if you have to take a break for a second and go be mom or whatever it is.
Really great example of life trying to fulfill your purpose outside of motherhood and what it's like. It's just a constant juggle, and it's just the way it is, and it's okay.
So smile through it, and you can not be frustrated and mad at your child. You can say, yes, you're my priority. Yes, this is a priority, and they can all work together, and it's beautiful, and I love it.
Right. Okay. Hang on. Sorry.
Okay, we'll just let her hang out for a second. It'll be all good, and she'll come back. I apologize for my greenness today. I'm not sure what's up with the lighting, but my face looks green. Photographer niece, right? That works.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Awesome.
So where were we?
Okay. So your story about what was it that caused you to go into making art a bigger thing instead of just keeping it in your heart?
Yeah. I always wanted to. I always knew it was what I wanted to do, and it was in my future, but it was something that I didn't feel like I could do yet because I had little kids at home, and I felt like I couldn't. And for a while, I know that was my answer because I'd pray about it, and I just kept getting, to everything there is a season. And right now, this is your season for being a mom only. And when they were all really little. But when my youngest was 3, I had been actually selling essential oils and had been really deeply into that for a while. And I signed up for a group mentoring program, and I started setting goals with this group mentoring program. And I had set a financial goal, and I wanted to make so much money in a 30-day period. And I was taking action steps every single day, and I had this group I was accountable to, so I had to take my action steps and tell them what my action steps were. And I was 15 days into my 30-day goal, and I had taken an action step every day. It wasn't for lack of trying, but I had not even sold a bottle of lemon. I mean, nothing. Lemon's like the cheapest oil. There's nothing. I hadn't made a penny. And I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and I was trying to think of my next action step that I could take. And I was getting a little bit frustrated because I felt like my way was being hedged up and that I wasn't making any progress. And this had never happened before until I started getting really serious about this financial goal. And it was like, what is up? And so I was sitting there, and I was trying to think of my next action step, and I heard this voice that was my voice, and it came from inside of me, and it felt like my inner child. And she said, I just want to paint.
Aww.
And I started crying immediately because I was like, yes, I do. I just want to paint. And then I said, could I? Like, could I do that? It was like this new thought that maybe that was a possibility. And so I prayed, and I asked Heavenly Father, can I paint? Is it time? Can I do this? And the answer was yes. And he said, in fact, not only is the answer yes, but you need to be serious about it now. It's time. And it was like the most exciting prompting answer to prayer I'd ever received. And so I immediately made some flyers for mural painting. But I didn't mention that I do that too. I like to paint murals on people's walls, big, huge.
They're gorgeous.
Fill the whole room. And so I had done one before for my brother, and I was like, I could do that. I could conceivably, if I got a mural job in the next 2 weeks, I could make this amount of money that I had set for my goal. So I started going around to like doctor's offices and dropping off flyers and stuff. And I ended up within the next 5 or 6 days, I got a call from a builder that was building a home in the Utah Valley Parade of Homes. And they needed a mural. Can you start Monday? Like, because they had this deadline for the Parade of Homes, and they were desperate, and they were looking for a mural artist. And I was like, sure can. Yep, I'm available. And I ended up finishing that mural on day 30 of my goal, and exceeded my financial goal with that paycheck. So I took that as a very powerful sign that I was on the right track. God was telling me, good job, you figured it out. So that's where it started.
Beautiful. I love that. Awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Did you find at that point when you got this inspiration, you were like 100%, I am all in? Or did you still find yourself like, I still don't know, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I went back and forth. Like that moment, it was so clear. And then I started moving forward, and I was like, do I really know it? Wait, did I really receive that? Am I sure? And it was hard because I had this whole team in my essential oil business, and I had an upline that had been supporting me and helping me in growing my business there. And the answer that I received was that I needed to walk away from that completely. And that was hard because I was letting a lot of people down. And so it took a lot of courage to follow through with those promptings and to explain them to other people. And even before I was even before I had the evidence that it was the direction I was supposed to go as far as getting results from it. I just had to follow that prompting and move forward in faith. So it was difficult.
So do you remember the moment when you decided 100% I'm in?
So I had this experience. I was saying my daily declarations, and I often change my declarations depending on the life circumstances that I'm in at the time and what I feel like I need support in. And basically it's just a list of affirmations that I stand up and say out loud every morning. And my husband had been in this group mentoring program with me, so we're both doing these declarations. And he was leaving for work one morning, and I stood up in front of my vision board, and I had my declarations there, and I was about to say my declarations, but I was like waiting for him to leave because I didn't want him to hear me say my declarations. I don't know. Can you relate with that? I'm like, are you going to go yet? Because I'm going to say my declarations, and it's kind of embarrassing. I don't want you to hear, It's like, anyway, so he likes to tease me sometimes, and he noticed what I was doing, and so he stopped and came back, and he stood right in front of me and said, "Go ahead."
Oh, I love that. What is it?
I was like, okay. So the very first line of my declarations was, "I am an artist." And so I started saying my declarations, and I was like, "I am an artist." And he immediately just stopped me and said, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "Okay, now you're just being mean. This is just really mean." He's like, "Say it again." And so he said, "I'm an artist." He said, "Nope, still don't believe you. Say it again." And he made me repeat it over and over again. And until I said it with confidence and purpose, and I burst into tears. And then he said, "Okay, see you later." And he left.
What a nice husband.
I know, it was the perfect thing for me in that moment. I really think he was just prompted to do that.
Yeah.
But I realized that what came up for me was that I realized that I had been carrying all of this belief that I wasn't really an artist because I didn't have any evidence of things I had created recently that showed that I was an artist. Nobody had ever purchased a painting from me. I'd never been a professional artist. So I knew I had artistic ability, that I had some talent, but I hadn't perfected it yet, and nobody knew it. And so I didn't feel like it was true to say I was an artist. And what I realized as that all came up and was released through those tears and through me shouting, "I'm an artist," was that who I am is who I've always been. And it has nothing to do with what I've created or what I've accomplished so far in my life. It's who I am inside. Whether I ever paint a picture or not, I'm an artist. And so I could say that with full confidence.
I can feel it.
Even without having the results yet. And I think that belief shifted everything for me and is what allowed me to create what I've created, because I know it's who I am now, and I can say it with confidence.
Beautiful. I love it. What was the first picture that you did?
My first, right after I started, I did murals. I did a couple of murals. The first mural was an ocean mural. It was like beach all the way around the room, and you can see it on my website. I'm in my mural portfolio, and you probably have to scroll down near the bottom. But
what's the website for people who want to know?
My website is katiegarnerart.com. KatieGarner.
Cool, and we'll put that in the email so you can.
Okay. Anyway, so in my mural portfolio, you'll see it. But it was this full playroom. It was really a big playroom, and it has a sandy beach all the way around, and then ocean behind that. And they had this big wooden boat like coming out of the wall. So there's like half a boat sticking into the room, into the room. And it has, I painted on the wall behind it to look like the boat continued.
Oh, how cool.
Anyway, so that was the first mural that I did. But then the first oil painting that was like my own personal work that I got back into doing was my first Adam and Eve picture. And that is, there's 3 Adam and Eve paintings. So the first one is the one where Eve is pregnant and she's standing in front of Adam. Adam's kind of to the side and behind her with his arms around her. And that was the first one that I created from my own personal inspiration.
Sure, I about burst into tears when you released that day. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest painting ever.
Those paintings have been so close to my heart, and I've learned so much about how I receive inspiration and my mission and purpose in what I'm supposed to paint and how I'm supposed to paint.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, as part of living our mission, one of God's ways is to be generous. And so I know you have talked about giving away something so amazing, and it works perfectly with what you just said about what you've learned through this painting. So you want to tell people a little bit about what this gift is that they're going to get?
Yes. So one of the things that I painted over the last couple of years is a set of chakra paintings to support the balance.
Don't tell them that one yet. That one's later. Don't tell them that one yet.
Don't
tell them the video one.
Oh, the video one. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
They're going to keep watching now because they need to know what you're talking about.
I know. Okay. It's coming. Okay. So the video one is, I have created this video describing some of the artwork that I've created, some of the paintings that I've created, and the story behind them, how I was inspired to paint what I painted, and the things that I've learned through the process and the spiritual experiences that I've had while creating this art. And that's going to be available on my website.
Awesome. Beautiful. So we're going to add a link for that where you can get your free gift. So anybody who's listening or watching, whatever day it is, however long after we've done this, you can go on and get this free gift from Katie and be able to get a little bit more depth into her soul and into her art. And I'm excited. I want to see it. I'm excited to get it myself.
It's going to be fun. There's some stories that I haven't shared with anyone that I will be sharing with those videos. So
beautiful. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's so generous of you for sharing your heart. Okay, so can you tell us about a time when you had opposition or resistance that you faced, and what is it you do to get through that? Because I imagine if you're painting something so sacred as Adam and Eve in creation, you probably have a lot of stuff that shows up to try to stop you from that.
Yeah. And actually the specific experience that I think of happened when shortly after I started painting again. I started painting in about May, and so through that summer I ended up meeting with an artist named Linda Curley Christensen, and she has been painting murals inside LDS temples for years and years, and she offered to have me come assist and help on painting a temple mural. And that was a huge opportunity for me, which I believe I'll continue doing in the future. But it was so overwhelming to me at the time, because I'm looking at, I have like almost zero experience. I never finished school, and all these, like, I haven't even been painting for the last 10 years. And now I'm supposed to go assist on this temple mural. And I was feeling extremely inadequate, first of all. And then I had also at the time, the school year before had been homeschooling my children for about 5 years. And I was inspired to sign my kids up for school. And that was even before I got into painting. And I wasn't sure why. It just felt like the right thing to do. And so I signed them up for school. And then when I got into painting, and then I got asked to come assist on this temple mural, it required me to be away from home. And so I went from homeschooling to sending my kids to school to hiring a nanny.
Wow.
And leaving the home.
And
to
how
paint
long?
on this.
What was the time frame from when you put them in school to
So,
nanny? What was your
well, they started in school in August, and I started helping on the temple mural in November. So it was just a few months later. So I hired a nanny to come be in our home. No, first I hired someone that I dropped them off at somebody's house. The ones that were still home, I still had two that were home at least half day. One of them was in kindergarten. Anyway, I dropped them off, and then after school, she would go pick up my kids from school and bring them to her house for a while for a few hours until I got home. And so the first day that I dropped them off, and I just drove away. I left my kids with someone else and drove away, and I just fell apart. And I thought, what on earth am I doing? This goes against everything that I've always believed about what it looks like to be a good mother. And I thought, I must be completely wrong about all the inspiration I've received. I questioned everything. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been listening to the wrong voice this whole time. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. How could this be right? How could it be right to leave my children with someone else? I'm a terrible mother. I just abandoned them. And I completely fell apart. And that night, I cried on the way there. And then at the job site, I held it together just barely. I was like on the verge of tears all day. Like, nobody asked. Nobody, like, please. And then when I got home, I drove all the way home. I cried again, picked up my kids who were extremely moody and throwing fits and struggling emotionally themselves. So that didn't help. And I got home that night. When my husband got home and saw the emotional state I was in, he was like, oh dear, what's going on, And I asked for him to give me a priesthood blessing that night. And what he told me in that blessing was and has been the source of comfort for me in many areas when I've been called to do things that are unconventional to me and against my the box that I thought I was going to stay in. When I have to go outside that comfort zone and that safety zone that I felt like was safe. He told me that I felt like I was almost chastised for it. And God told me, your children are my children first. And don't you think I know what's best for them? Like, what makes you think that you know better than me? And he said, you need to know that your children are protected, that they have angels with them, protect them, especially when you're on the Lord's errand. So quit worrying about it. And it was like, oh, okay. But it was, it was a struggle to make that transition, and it was hard. And then I still, of course, had those limiting beliefs about myself and my own abilities that I just gradually work on. So
well, that's beautiful, because our topic was choosing to become. You had to take this moment of choosing.
Yeah.
Because this is the path I thought I was on, and this is the path God said I get to go on. And you're like,
my plans were over here. And you're like, whoa, over like trying to leave me here, which, wow, it's different. Yes.
It is. Yeah. I feel the same way. I get it.
I have a sister-in-law that says, I make plans and God laughs. Like, oh, that's so cute. It's not
There's this little picture of a little girl, and she's holding her teddy bear, and Christ is like sitting. Have you seen this? Yes. And he's like sitting there next to her, and he's like, here, give me your teddy bear. And behind him, he has this like giant one. And he's like, just give up what you think you want, because I really want to give you so much more.
Yeah. But
it's that faith of, I'm giving it up, and now I feel like I got nothing but what's coming,
Yeah.
It's this faith walk for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So what do you do to faithfully go on when it gets hard? You have those memories of the blessing and the memories of the inspirations and things like that. But what tangibly, like if you think, if you're having a breakdown day, what is your process to get out of it and back in alignment to make sure that you're feeling to do whatever?
I take time for myself. Um, Usually when I'm breaking down, it's because I haven't been focusing on taking care of myself and communicating with God. And so I take time to lock myself in my room and journal and read my scriptures. And I like to write letters to God and write his responses that I get back. And I'll just being able to write out my thoughts and write out my feelings and write out the promptings I'm receiving in response is like always so grounding and centering, and I can get back to where I need to be. I think that it's really important to have goals, and I have my vision board in my room, and I like to make sure I have something on there that I'm working toward. This was actually this morning as I was in the bathtub thinking about how we were going to do our interview today. This is what was coming to mind, was that I feel like we get so stressed out and worried about being on the right path. And like, is this really my purpose? Or could I be fulfilling my purpose better? Or is this the right goal to have? Or is there a different goal I'm supposed to have? Maybe I'm doing this wrong. And just so worried about always doing it right. And, you know, but I don't really know my whole purpose. So I don't know how to move forward. Like just these, these thoughts that circle in our head all the time. Right. And I feel like the most important thing is to set some goal, just something. Like, I don't even feel like the goal itself matters as much as the fact that you start moving forward toward it and you start taking action to get out of your comfort zone. Because this is something that I learned from my friend Becky Edwards. And she says this all the time. She says, God can't steer a parked car. And so I just feel like if we start moving forward in something, even if we don't know if it's the right thing to move forward in, we're going to get steered. And if we just stay still and we're too afraid to set a goal and too afraid to move out of our comfort zone and do anything, then we'll never know. We'll never know what our purpose is. We can sit and write about it and think about it and pray about it as much as we want, but unless we're willing to move forward in something, we may never get the answer. So I feel like it's just important to keep moving towards something.
There was a little video in a class I was doing yesterday, and they were talking about how God tells the children of Israel, you can go across on dry ground, but he doesn't part the sea right then. He waits until their feet are wet. Like, it's what I told you to do. You have to move, and then everything's going to show up for you.
Yeah.
It's been totally that way with this series. He was like I had a retreat and totally fell apart like the week before. And he said, don't do it. I was like, you told me to do it. What do you think? Like, what do you mean don't do it? And it was like all the blessings that have come from not doing it. It was like something about the learning curve of going that far, and then the learning of canceling, and the learning to trust that the plan's going to work, even if it wasn't my plan. And then I said, now what do you want me to do? And he said to create this series. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, who are you supposed to have there? And he's like, these people. So, you know, this is going to expand beyond these 6 weeks that we're doing this. And I actually have a 6-month, like, teaching people to consecrate their life to God. And we break down every single line of that poem and how to live it. And it's beautiful, and it's coming together in these crazy, amazing ways. And people that I like never thought would be interviewed or have agreed that I can interview them for this. And it's beautiful, and it's amazing to see how it's coming together. When I was like, okay, just tell me who and where to go and what to do. And, you know, certain ones will say yes, and then something will happen and someone else will take their place. And then it's like, okay, so they're supposed to happen later and this person's supposed to happen now. And he like arranges it in the right order to make it so the people who are learning from this are getting the right thing in the right order.
Yeah.
Kind of cool to see.
It's so amazing how, like, just if we move forward and trusting that he just opens the doors for us, and it's way bigger than we ever imagined, way better than we ever imagined it could be, because we could never have created this on our own. But just our willingness to obey, our willingness to trust him and take that leap of faith, just it's powerful. That faith is what opens the doorway for him to be able to help us that way. It's just so cool. It's such a process.
Experience just the other day, and I was going through this simulation, and it was a building was collapsing, and you had to get 300 people through this building in 20 minutes. And through these obstacles, and you couldn't touch them. And some people had blindfolds on, so they couldn't see. Some people had like goggles that were foggy, so you could barely see. Some people were incapacitated and had to be carried out. And like all for pretend, of course, they weren't really incapacitated, but we went through this in the, what are you going to learn through this? And so we went through phase 1 of it, and we had our whole team and everybody made it. And I was like, okay, that was easy. Okay, so I'm like, what am I going to learn from this? And how many times, so I just had the foggy glasses, but I was like, how many times do we think my purpose isn't extremely clear? My path isn't, like, I can't see all of it, so I can't do anything yet because I don't know what everything is.
We let that like perfection paralysis
stop us.
Back.
Yeah. And it was this moment of, I can trust the people ahead of me, the people who are guiding, my mentors and people that I'm working with. The people behind me can trust me. Together we can work on this. Even if I can't see everything and it's a little bit foggy, then I'm trusting. I can see enough that I can move. And then I know my path. God said, this is what you're supposed to do. Now I just have to go. And as I go, the path gets clearer. You know, you can see that little, you can see the next step. It's like taking that step in the dark, you know, the staircase will appear.
Yeah.
One at a time. And I was like, okay. And then realizing at the other side of it, it was easier than you thought it was. And all of your heartache and the stuff inside of you was just you worrying about how hard it was going to be. Because, oh my gosh, God gave me something huge. When all he said was take one step, do one thing.
Yeah. Our biggest obstacles are really just our beliefs.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
It is.
The only thing holding you back is
yeah,
our limiting beliefs that are limiting us. That's it.
Here's a big one that I didn't know I was going to record for eternity. But I learned the other day that I had a false belief inside of me that anything I put my whole heart into falls apart.
Oh.
See how that one might just ruin your life for a while.
Yeah.
So it was good because in the creation of this series and everything that I'm creating right now, that one is out. I changed it. It's gone.
Oh, yay. Good.
And, you know, have that more of that certain faith that it's all going to work. So it's cool how, you know, God puts those opportunities to grow in your path when you're doing the stuff he told you to do. Not when you're sitting there worrying about it.
Right.
But
right.
when you actually do it.
Yeah. And faith and fear can't exist at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ooh, I heard another awesome definition of fear. Like lots of people think false evidence appearing real, right? But everything that you do is faith. So fear is putting your faith in what you don't want.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Because you're choosing to put your energy into the things that you're imagining, whether you're imagining good things or whether you're imagining fearful things. And that energy is going toward creating that. So it's a faith. There are a lot of different things to put your faith in. We talk about faith as just being faith in God, but we put faith in a lot of things. And if you're putting your faith in the wrong things, you are using that power of faith to create it. I absolutely believe that.
And in every step you take, you're having faith your ankle's going to hold you up. You're having faith the lights are going to turn on. You have faith your car is going to start. All of those things.
Yep.
You'll just be able to do faith the right way.
Talking about your fears and imagining images of your fears coming to pass, you're sending that energy out there to the universe and it's sending it back to you magnified. And so you're going to experience those things you fear if you continue down that path. Yeah, absolutely. But the same goes for faith in God and faith in the beautiful, wonderful things that you want to create.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a powerful force either way. Absolutely.
So do you have a quick process? Because I know when I get something like negative or a fear starts popping up, like immediately I'll just be like, no, this is what I believe instead. Like change it immediately. Is there something specific you do, or do you do the same thing?
I do that. I sometimes, if I say something out loud, and I'm like, oh no, didn't want to say that. I'll say cancel, cancel, cancel.
Uh-huh.
like,
That's awesome.
like, whoa. And I will immediately repent and ask that the atonement of Jesus Christ will take that away, that energy that I just sent out there. Like, please clear that energy that I just sent out into the universe, because I don't want that to happen. And I'm really working on having faith. So, because I'm never going to be perfect in having faith and never having fear. But if I continually repent of that fear, repent of those negative thoughts, and ask for the Savior to fix them for me, then he will. And he absolutely has that power to do that. So it's putting your trust in the fact that you can be redeemed immediately of that. And then also I spend time working. I have a really active imagination, and I see things in images a lot. And so when I notice that I have a negative image in my mind, I try to do a visualization of erasing that image and creating a new image and focusing on the new image, because those images are really powerful.
They are powerful. That's beautiful. And I love the story of Peter walking on water. It was Peter, like Christ's right-hand man, right? He's right there doing everything and believing. And then he goes to walk on water and he doubts. And, it wasn't he started sinking, and it was as soon as he called out, it says immediately Christ saved him. And same for us. He's immediately there as soon as we say, ask. It's asking, you shall receive. It's really literal, like for anything, ask.
Yes. And we can get right back up on that water in our faith.
Yeah.
I mean, we just choose faith again, and then we can walk on water again. It's okay. It's like it never happened. He takes care of it. Yeah.
Yep. That's so true. Is there a moment in your life when it may have looked like you failed to the world, but what did you learn through that process?
Think about this one. I think most of my failures have been my own feelings, and not like the world thought that I failed, but it's always been myself that I thought failed. And an internal, like, because maybe the response to something I did wasn't what I thought it should have been or what I wanted it to be. And then I start believing I'm a failure when it wasn't really failure according to world standards. That's more of what I've experienced. And so I have to work on, it really just, it helps bring up those limiting beliefs that I have about myself, and helps me identify what they are. And I have to take it and use it as a learning experience, and work on feeling gratitude for that experience and identifying what those limiting beliefs are. I like to, when I'm feeling those failure feelings or self-doubt or fear, or whatever the negative feeling I'm experiencing is, in order to take care of it, I get paper out often, and I'll write what those limiting beliefs are that are coming up, and I'll try to keep writing and really get to the bottom of where that belief is coming from. What's the root belief that's coming from, or the root experience that happened in my life that taught me this belief, where I accepted that belief, and ask for those things to be released and cleared, and replace them with new, positive, and truthful beliefs. So I'll write down all the negative ones and destroy that paper in whatever way that I want to, that I feel is necessary, ripping it up or burning it or whatever. And then I'll take time to ask, what is the truth here? And pray for inspiration on what it is that really is true. And I write those in my journal where I can keep them, and maybe make a new set of declarations, and say those declarations out loud, like I talked about before. Those are the tools that I most often use to help me get through those feelings, and to understand that I learned this concept once about failure, and that the only way to truly fail is to not try. And anything, whenever you've moved forward in something and maybe it didn't work out the way you thought, it's still a success, because you have the opportunity to learn where you would have learned if you hadn't moved forward. And also that my idea of what perfection is, and I think all of us, what we think perfection looks like isn't accurate. And it's not what God's definition of perfection is. And that really the only way to be perfect is to perfectly trust and rely on Christ. And then we'll always be perfect, no matter what our mistakes look like or how many mistakes there are. We're always perfect if we're continually relying on Christ. And that's what real perfection is.
That's beautiful. Yeah, there's 3 definitions of success that I like to stick with. Success is when if you reach your goal, you're a success. If you learn a lesson, you're a success. And if you follow a prompting, you're a success.
Yes.
That's good. So if you choose to go do something and then you're bitter about it afterwards because it didn't go the way you thought, then, technically you're still successfully did something. But if you choose to make it a negative experience in your life, then that would probably really be the only time you would consider it a failure. Chose to make yourself worse because of that experience.
That's true.
But it's all your choice. So it doesn't matter how hard the thing was, the trust that somehow I needed to go through this, teach me why. Because it's going to help me in the future.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite scripture or a quote or something that you go to that seems to pop in your mind a lot when you're struggling, or just that helps give you strength?
A couple. And I can't tell you where they are at the moment.
We'll figure that out later.
Like one-liners that come into my mind. But that first, that, and I don't have the exact words either, but that Christ descended below the world. Like, no matter how bad whatever you experience is, he descended farther than that, so he really can relate and understand everything that you're going through. And then there's one that says, the song of the righteous is a prayer unto me. And I think of I replace song with the creation the creation of the righteous.
I love that.
And so I feel like every time I'm creating or painting a picture or something, that it's like a prayer to God. And there's another one about consecrating your work unto him, and that you'll receive blessings for it. And so I try to remember always before I start creating to consecrate my efforts to him, and to let him know that I'm doing this to try to become more like him, and ask him to bless me in my efforts.
Awesome. Love that.
So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any other nuggets of wisdom you want to leave with those people who are trying to follow their path? Maybe they feel kind of in that stuck spot of, what am I supposed to do? And I feel like I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah.
This is what I believe I'm supposed to do, and this is what I feel called to do. And how do I take that leap to choose to become who God wants me to be?
Oh, yeah. I actually am thinking of Rapunzel, which is, if you've seen the movie Tangled.
Yeah.
Most people have, but if you haven't,
go watch it.
Go watch it. Yeah, it's good anyway. It's worth your time, I think. I enjoy that movie. But I had this moment when I was teaching a group mentoring program, and I was praying about what to teach the women that were in my program. And I was driving in the car with my daughter, and this song from Tangled came on, and it was the one where she was singing about how she's waiting for her life to begin. When will my life begin? And she talks about how she does the same things over and over and over again, and just keeps wondering when her life's going to begin. And all of a sudden I had this like download where suddenly the whole movie and analogy and lessons to be learned from that movie were already in me, and I was like sifting through them and discovering them. It was like, oh my
That's
gosh.
awesome.
And Rapunzel has this dream, and she wants to see the glowing lights, the floating lights, and she doesn't even know what they are or why she wants to see them, and it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but she just feels it in her heart. She really wants it. And I think she could have convinced herself so easily that that goal was not a worthy goal, that, well, it's not even going to make her any money, so why should she go for that goal? What's the point of it? Maybe the world's going to think that that goal is stupid or silly or not worthwhile. And she could have just shoved it down and ignored it, and she would have stayed stuck in her tower with her abusive false mother, right? And but what she chooses to do is she chooses to believe that that feeling in her heart, that desire that she's having, is there for a reason, and she really wants to figure out why it's there, and she wants to go see those lights, and so she chooses to move forward. And in this analogy, the tower is her comfort zone, and this false mother is her limiting beliefs.
Oh yeah.
And so, and if you listen to everything that evil woman says the whole time, it's just, nobody's going to like you. You're going to get hurt. It's not going to work out. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not talented enough. People are going to think you're foolish. People are scary. People are mean. You're going to go out there and you're going to find out that the world's a terrible place. I mean, just constantly these beliefs that we all have playing in our mind all the time that we have to overcome. But she chooses to follow her heart. And long story short, there's more to this, but her, ultimately, because she followed that first little inkling, that little desire in her heart to do something, it ended up leading her to discovering who she really is and learning who her parents really are, and that she's the daughter of a king. She's really a princess, and she's able to then go on and fulfill her purpose because she trusted that that desire in her heart was there for a reason. And so I believe that the same is true for us, that we are born with specific desires that are part of our purpose, and that's why those desires are there. So if you feel your heart calling you to do something, just trust it and don't listen to those limiting beliefs that are telling you otherwise. Trust that that feeling in your heart was put there by God, and you've got to just move forward before you understand the purpose of it or what it's really going to mean for you. And even if it doesn't seem like this crazy, amazing, cool, I don't know, worthwhile thing, that it just, if you want to take up a hobby, do it. That desire is there for a reason. It'll lead you to the next thing. So move forward. God can steer your car.
That's beautiful. And I love, as I've been mentoring and talking with different people, seeing how everybody's dream is so different.
Yeah.
How can you deny the fact that you have this amazing gift of art? Like, you could hand me a paintbrush and I would not come up with what I see hanging on your wall. No, like.
And it should be comforting to you to know, to see these things that I've created and know that I didn't believe I was an artist.
I know. And I'm like, what?
I didn't believe it.
I didn't, but then when I go look at my photography and my graphic design stuff, and I'm like, somebody says, oh, I need this. And I'm like, okay, done, 20 minutes. And people are like, there's no way I could ever do that. And it's like realizing that all of our gifts are different, and then just embracing what you've been given and the desire in your heart, and figuring out one step at a time how it all flows together in order to create whatever it is you're here to do.
Yeah. Yep. And your part is just as important as anybody else's, even if theirs seems more public and visible. Like, I feel like certain talents in this world are kind of put up on a pedestal, and it's just not the way it is in God's eyes. That every single tiny gift is vitally important.
That was a big one, because I've never had all those dancing, singing, crafty, arty talents and stuff like that. And I remember it was probably about 5 years ago or something when I realized, I'm like, love is my superpower. That's okay. I'm like, if I
Yeah.
get the ability to like literally,
Imagine if we didn't have that in
I
this
know,
world.
serious.
Like,
If I can show up and I can love somebody, even if I don't know them, and I can forgive instantly, that's a cool thing. Like,
a really cool gift.
you know, so whatever your gift is, and wherever you feel like maybe your gift isn't, start asking. Ask your friends, ask the people that you look up to, and say, what is it you see in me?
Yeah.
And allow them to give you some feedback, and it might open your eyes to be like, oh wow, they see that in me.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, maybe I did do really good at that. And making a list of your successes and the things that you've done, and the things where you felt truly alive. It's like when you were saying your little girl just wanted to paint.
Yeah.
There's those days I just have an idea and I want to go sit in front of Photoshop and InDesign for an hour, because it's like there's something that I want to create. It's going to make my life easier. It's going to help other people. And let me create this. And then I put them online and people can have them for free just because I want to, So I don't know if I've said that before on this one. So go to learnlivefly.com/resources. And then there's a drop down for LDS resources. So if you're Christ-centered and you study scriptures, there's printables and stuff like that there that you can check out and help you in your
study. Check it out.
Yeah. You're of 13. I just did one. It was a temple tracker chart. So it's this really cute little form. And then when they go to the temple, they can write it down. So we've gone every month since my daughter turned 12. And we go together, and it's this really special moment that we have. So they get to write the date, who they were with, and what temple they went to. And
That's
so
cool.
how cool to be 30 and 40 and 50 and look back and say, I've gone to the temple every month since I turned 12.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Very cool.
That's awesome. Anyways, so will you explain to us a little bit? Show us a little bit about the art behind you real quick. The picture. Man, that words all came out crazy.
That's okay.
Explain your gorgeous painting.
So this is a painting of Mary and Eve. And the reason I chose to paint these two women together is because I feel like they are the two women in all of the history of the world that had the greatest influence on the outcome of this world and the most important missions. And Eve, because she's the mother of us all, none of us would be here without her sacrifice to be a mother. And then Mary, because she's the mother of Christ and she's the mother of the one who saved us all. And as I created this was probably the longest process that I had in creating a painting, because there was so much symbolism I kept feeling prompted to include, and then I had to make it all fit and work in there. And so I went through, actually in Photoshop, creating so many versions I couldn't even count. It started out looking very, very different than this. And I just more elements kept being presented to me through various avenues of, through books or an article I read online or something somebody says. And then I felt like, oh, that's supposed to go in the painting. And so as I created this, I realized that it wasn't just about Mary and Eve, which in my mind is how it started, but it was a painting to all women to show us all about our mission and purpose, and how our mission and purpose is very similar and relatable to both Eve's and to Mary's, and that each one of our missions are just as important to our family and to those people that we come in contact with and influence throughout our lives. Specifically, one of the big aha things that I had while I created this was that Mary, she's the mother of Christ, which is a huge, huge honor for her. And I honor her so much in choosing into that role. But we are taught, there's a scripture that says that inasmuch as ye have done it unto the least of these, my brethren, ye have done it unto me. And if we are to take that scripture to be literally true, which I believe it is, that every single one of us who has nurtured and loved a child has been a mother to Christ. And so there's a lot of different symbolism contained in this also, and you can watch a video that's on my website that explains all the different elements in this painting. And I'll talk about this one more in the video that you'll get to sign up to receive also through this program. So
it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love it.
Welcome.
Okay, so what is it you're working on now? What is it that we can do to help you, to help expand your mission and to fulfill what it is to spread this beautiful art that you have?
Right now, I am just working on, I have this list of paintings that I'm inspired to create, and most of them have to do with womanhood, sisterhood, motherhood, and creation as a woman. And I am currently working on getting to them. But I would love if people could just share my work. Share on Facebook. I have a Facebook page where I post my art, and there's pictures of all my paintings there. If you could share your favorite ones, share why they touch your heart and what you experience as you look at them, so that you can help influence the people around you to really look at them and ponder on the significance that these images can be teaching them in their lives as well. Just sharing it, getting the word out there, and spreading these images around so they can influence others, and people can be aware and start watching for more spiritual art that I'm creating. That would be the most helpful thing.
That's beautiful. So is your Facebook page linked from your website?
Yes.
So they can go there and just click a little Facebook thing and it'll take them
on the top. Yep.
Beautiful. And it's katiegarnerart.com, right?
Yes. Yep.
Beautiful. And then how else can people contact you? If they want you to do a mural in their house, or they want you to commission you to create something custom for them, how would they get a hold of you?
There are contact forms on my website, both for mural painting and custom oil paintings as well. So commissioned oil paintings. There's contact forms on there. So you can fill out that form, tell me what it is you're looking for, and it will get to me. And we can go from there and start talking about what it is you want.
Do you have a feedback form on there? Or if watching this has helped them in some way and they want to give you a testimonial or a video or something, do you want them to email that directly, or is there a form on there for that type of a thing?
I would love it if they just went to the contact Katie form, and there's a place where they can write whatever they want. So if they have a testimonial, or if they want to share something with me that touched them that we've talked about, or I've had a lot of people even send me like, oh, I really wish that somebody would paint this someday because I want to see it in, in art form. I want to see this. I get suggestions like that a lot, and sometimes they help spur ideas for the paintings that I end up creating. So if there's anything like that you want to share with me, you're welcome to do that through the contact form, and I'll get it.
Okay, beautiful. How was it you got your art out there? Like, did you just do that picture of Adam and Eve and you put it up and it just started spreading by itself? Or was there other things specifically that you did to get it out?
Pretty much. Pretty much. I was astounded at watching the number of shares go up every day on that first Adam and Eve painting. That was really fun to see. And it was actually really hard for me. It took me weeks to actually put it out there on Facebook because it was so near and dear to my heart and so sacred to me. I was like, do I put this on Facebook? I don't know. But then watching the responses from people was incredible. And then I also have done a lot of booths at energy healing conferences and stuff like that, where I go and sell my prints. And so that's also gotten the word out there. But that's pretty much all I've done so far.
Do you have a place on your website where it says these are the places I'll be? So if you're involved in a booth or a fair, where people would know, oh, I can go here and I can buy her prints there, rather than just getting them online where they could maybe meet you.
I have not done that before, but I will consider doing that. That's a good idea.
So check on her website and maybe that would be available. Or at least on your Facebook, right? On your Facebook, you would say, hey, I'll be here.
Yes, I do talk about the events that are coming up in the near future on my Facebook page.
Cool. Definitely do that. Join her Facebook page.
Yeah.
like and share and comment and spread the love, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Beautiful.
awesome.
Okay, so you were talking earlier, your special offer here that you had with your chakra cards.
Oh, yeah.
So if you'll share with us a little bit about those and why they're important and how they can get these for free.
Awesome. Now it's time. Okay.
That's
So I created these chakra paintings, one for each chakra to help support and balance and nurture those energy centers in your body. And I created, so here's the first one. This is the root chakra
a
one.
little bit closer. It's okay if we hide your face for a sec. We'll
Okay.
hit it.
See
Cool.
you.
Awesome.
It's called Growing Roots. And then these cards have affirmations on the back of them. So the idea is that you look at the image, you flip it around, and you speak those affirmations out loud, and then you turn around and look at the image and focus on just balancing that chakra, and the image and the words work together. So
The energy and the vibration of saying it plus the colors, and so it's involved all of your senses to help the body feel totally in alignment.
Totally. So this one's the sacral chakra. It's called Metamorphosis.
Ooh, that's pretty.
And they're symbolic of the things, the growth that happens in these areas of our life. Here's Let It Shine, your solar plexus chakra. And this one's called Eternal Love. It's your heart chakra. And it's got Celtic knot symbol behind it, which is a symbol of eternity. It just keeps going. And then this one is Express Yourself, your throat chakra. And here's your third eye chakra. This is called Creation Dance. And then the crown chakra. It's called Daughter of a King.
That's beautiful.
So a lot of people will just put these all on their wall, in a row or in a row like this, and be able to stand and look at them every day. If some people like to have two sets so that they can have the images on their wall, but then also have the cards that they can read, and they can do both at the same time. But this set is $20 for the whole set of chakra cards. And you can get a whole set of chakra cards for free if you order anything on my website. I have lots of different art prints on my website. So if you place an order on my website and then send me an email through my contact form on my website saying, hey, I just ordered and I'm from Livia's class and she told me I could get a free set of chakra prints, then I will stick those chakra prints in with your order.
So does that count if they wanted to buy a set of chakra prints and then get another one? Then they'd have the affirmations and the colors.
You can have both so that you can have, the images and the words at the same time. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. I've seen other people who had them like in little albums that they just keep in their purse. Mm-hmm. And so then they have those images and they're.
Yeah, you could totally, and these are nice thick cards. I don't know if you can tell how thick, they're really thick.
They're nice. I've seen them. They're nice.
And yeah, you could certainly bind them into a little book or put like a key ring thing on top so that you can have them with you and flip through them however you want to do them. So
that is beautiful. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being with us. Okay, so everybody, if you're on here, it's week 6. You should by now be on the Facebook page. If you're not, check your email. Get the email. You'll have the videos on there. You'll have all of Katie's offer information with the links for her website and everything like that that's going to help you. And then engage on the Facebook page. Go on there and say, hey, I'm in the series. I just watched Katie's. This is my feedback on that. So then she can hop in there too, and she'll be able to see your feedback that way as well. And comments and the ways that she's been able to bless your life, and that will give her strength to keep going. And yes. All of us, we strengthen each other as we step on this journey of consecrating our life and really trying to figure out what exactly it is, because my path is not her path, is not your path. It's all different and it's unique, and God's the only one who knows. So it's a daily process of every day. What do I do today? And do that and have confidence that it's all going to work out because he's the master plan.
Yeah, and I feel this is another thing I wrote down this morning was that we often think of our life purpose as like this destination that we arrive at someday, and we'll like suddenly know that we're there someday. And I don't think that's the way it is at all. I think what really happens is that as we continue to follow our daily inspiration that we receive, we accumulate experiences that are fulfilling our purpose. And when we get to a place someday where we can look back on our lives and see the big picture, we'll be able to see that every little moment that we were following those promptings and following our heart, that we were fulfilling our purpose. And all of that accumulated together is our purpose, not like this one big thing that we're going to arrive at someday. So
it's definitely the journey. And it's amazing to see how that happens. I know as I was walking out to my conference this last weekend, every day when I would walk out, I would bring that with you, go get that thing. And I would just bring it. And then it was like the people would show up. It's like, okay, you brought this for that person and this one was for that person. And it was just really cool to see how, it might just be a moment. And then having people that I don't even know be like, oh my gosh, you taught this one thing and it helped me. I'm like, okay, I don't know you. And she's like, oh, I watched this class you did a year and a half ago that was recorded on somebody else's event. And I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks for telling me to do that to help that person I didn't know I helped. It's just amazing.
I feel like most of the time we never even know. We never even know who we influenced or how or with what. And we just got to trust that we are making a difference.